Hello and welcome to the Sales Report Podcast, episode number 5. The Sales Report is honest content for people starting a new endeavor who want real numbers and insight. It's a transparent look into small business. We've had a lot of really interesting guests so far, some really exciting ones planned. No specific dates yet, but I'm really looking forward to those. So we've got nice momentum going. Today we're shifting things up a little bit. And our guest today is actually my usual co-host, Eric Shorter. Eric, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
And I'll introduce you because you didn't do it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to do that.
Today we're being hosted by Michael Smith. We had a slight lapse in guests and planning on our part. So
we had a nice buffer for a little while.
Yeah, and then we lost it. We used it all up. So... yeah, like Mike said, we're switching up a little bit, and I'm the guest today, so I'm going to let Mike take it away.
Yeah, so let me just get a couple basic facts straight here. You haven't hit the big 3-0 yet, right?
I am 30 years old.
Okay, so 30 years old, not...
if that's what you meant.
approximately 29. Damn, I didn't realize that you were in the 30 club. Okay.
You were at my birthday party, weren't you?
I was.
Is the big banner that said happy 30th birthday didn't tip you off?
There was a banner?
Yeah.
Look, man.
My girlfriend sang a song called Turning 30.
Well, if you'll remember, that night, I was a little intoxicated. Mm-hmm. I tried to perform some songs and basically didn't perform any. I didn't complete a song.
Hey.
So let's do the usual. What do you tell people you do?
I buy and sell used goods.
Okay. So resale, similar to our first guest.
Yeah, it's our first guest, Patrick. I buy and sell stuff. I started selling on eBay. Probably, what's the year now? 2021? 2022?
Yeah.
I think I started in 2018. I have folders in my eBay pictures picture folder where I store all the eBay pictures, and at the end of every year I make a zip file of the whole year's contents. So I have a 2018 folder there. So I think it's when I started.
Okay. The outline that I had planned that I was talking about earlier, we've mentioned your business a couple times in the other episodes, so I'm just going to go at whatever pace I think, and then you adjust it accordingly.
Sure.
Let's do what's the process for your business, like from beginning to end? How does it go?
Yeah. Typically, I spend most days at one of a few thrift stores, usually the Goodwill outlet stores, the bins as they're called some places, the pound store they're also called in some areas.
The pound store?
Mm-hmm. Because everything's sold by the pound.
Oh, right.
So that's like my usual day. We'll call it like a 10 to 4, not quite a 9 to 5 there.
I didn't realize you spent. That's when you're getting your material.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't realize that you had pretty long days actually.
Yeah, I mean it's I probably put in equivalent to most full-time hours, I'd say. Not all there, but I'll do whatever that is. Like 10 to 4 is probably 6 hours. Yeah. I'll do 6 hours, I'd say, a day there. And usually on the weekdays like that, I'll have like an hour at home where I'm listing, processing the stuff I find, and then on weekends there's usually a day where maybe Saturdays I'll do a lot of listing, and
drop-offs.
Sunday will be packing up for Monday's drop-off.
Okay, so you send things out once a week?
3 times a week, I would say. I ship usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
But for sure, with the cumulative effect of the weekend sales, pretty much anything that sells Friday, Saturday, Sunday goes out on Monday. Anything that sells Monday, Tuesday goes out on Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday goes out on Friday. Yeah.
So how did you get the idea? Was this something that you learned through the grapevine, or was it something that you thought was just, you were just going to get more bang for your buck or more interesting items by going to the more major hubs? You know what I mean? Instead, because you don't go to the Goodwill in Millville, you go to I forget how you categorize them.
Yeah, the outlet stores. But I stop in at thrift stores. Sometimes if whatever the bins are slow or something, or if I just am feeling like extra ambitious someday, I'll take the hour I have between switch outs and drive down to Audubon or second-hand thrift store or whatever it might be, like just different low, like smaller thrift stores, and check them out because you can find great stuff there. It's just not as consistent and not
Right.
as cheap. But I mean, if are you asking me how it started, like
Yeah, like it sounds like okay. So I didn't realize that you visited a little bit of both, I guess. But you I guess it's safe to say that you prioritize the larger stores, right?
yeah, like the bins is it's where most of my time goes because it's like the best suited thing. And in addition to that, I've been checking out estate sales, and I always check the government auctions. It's not often that I find one that's not bid up too high, but I've had really good purchases through that government auctions, the liquidate stuff from any government office. They have
What kind of stuff do you find there?
uh, this year.
Office supplies or something?
My most recent like good purchase was probably going on a year ago or so, but I bought a bunch of gun holsters from a police department.
Okay.
They upgraded. They sold off their old ones. In the past, I've bought like honestly, I bought when the pandemic hit, I was looking hard for stuff, and I went to one police station. I bought old, seemed like stuff they would use for like interrogation and stuff like that, like
Torture devices.
interrogation is the right word for police, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we're talking like old tape recorders,
That's cool.
CCTV kind of like camera stuff, like that kind of stuff.
So still like kind of like that slightly older tech. I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of like a weird niche of yours.
I mean, I think that's what I found like goes under the radar enough to be able to get. And it's what people are giving away if we're talking like thrift store stuff.
And I think for you it's useful because I think that you have an interest in that technology.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
definitely
might know kind of what somebody would actually be excited about.
yeah, I definitely have accrued an interest in some of these things more and went in with an interest in some where like cassettes, I have like a vast knowledge of the whole audio cassette format at this point. In addition to film cameras, I've really gotten into because I've gotten plenty of those to play with. Yeah, stuff like that, vintage tech, I've either had an interest in or gained an interest in from seeing I guess like what the buyers appreciate in it. Like I've learned to see as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to make a note here. I want to ask you now, but I had a section later that I want to ask about, and I think it would fit better there. Can you just like quickly kind of like rattle off the array of items that you would find in like because I want people to understand. Patrick was very we called it like vintage merchandise, which is mostly records, t-shirts, like vintage clothing, maybe like band merchandise, and cassettes. But the big difference between you and him is probably where you source some of it, and just the variety that your business has. So can you just give the listeners kind of an idea of like how vast it is?
For sure. So what I usually do when people ask me what I sell is if they just ask, hey, what kind of stuff do you sell? I say vintage tech and media, because that's the 90% of it. But if they ask more, then I bust out my phone and I check my recent solds and just go down a list, because otherwise it really spans the gamut of anything. So recent sales, a mobile hotspot router, a replacement ball for a track wheel mouse.
Oh, wow. Okay. Haven't seen one of those in a while.
A lot of cassette tapes, used blanked cassette tapes specifically. A Microsoft Surface Pen stylus. A first edition vintage book on gnomes, garden gnomes. A vintage mug with a programming, like a 1980s computer programming mug. A Blu-ray disc set of World War II in HD, a vintage PC game, Vampire the Masquerades, another stylus, an iPod, a Kindle,
It's still very, very tech
a
heavy.
TI-84 calculator, a CPU, a lot of hard drives.
Now, do you think that this is just something that you've moved towards, or is that strictly just popularity? Because I know that you've talked to me before, like a lot about clothing. Like you had a bunch of jeans at one point.
Oh yeah,
You know, like there, and then you talked about the whole. Like, how many holsters did you get from that one sale? Was it like 10 or was it like 50 or something?
32, 33, something like that.
Did you sell any of them at a time? Like, did anybody buy multiple at a time, or is that?
I don't think anyone bought multiples. I feel like I've sold probably 18 of them by now. I imagine it's mostly either maybe it's someone who's
The cops that don't like the new holsters.
I want to say most of it is probably cops who have lost their holster too many times
Yeah.
and don't want to go in and admit they lost their holster, so they just buy a replacement.
Fair.
But some of they're very specifically duty holsters, like they're for officers. It's not the kind of holster someone really, I don't think, would want for, whatever casual carrying would be.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some people who like that paramilitary aspect, so maybe they bought them for that. I don't know. And you asked me about. It seems like I'm leaning towards tech harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know tech very well. I'm a computer person. I'm a tech person. So I can identify that stuff probably better than the average Joe at the bins, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also it's kind of the obvious pick for most people. Like, I mean, oh god, I don't want to like tangent all the time, but I'll tangent a little
Go for
bit. So like easy pickings. Everyone who starts flipping, as like this is like called on the internet, goes for video games.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on the, I don't recommend it, but if you go on the subreddit flipping, you will see like a new post every day of someone like, hey, like I started flipping video games, but it seemed like the market was too saturated, and like what else should I buy? And they get the response, which is you figure it out, basically, because no one's going to tell you like
Right.
their
They don't
secret.
want to give you their market.
But there are those low hanging fruit items, like yeah, if you see a video game and it's cheaper, if it's cheap price, you just buy it. Like,
Well, because if you get it cheap enough, you can list it cheaper than the saturated market. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I mean, it'll sell fast, but now pretty much like, most local thrift stores or people selling their old video game stuff know the value, know the online value and how to get it, where it wasn't like that probably like 15 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But, that's the low-hanging fruit. So if someone sees that, they're going to take it and they're going to sell it overnight and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
But, so you have to be a little more creative, and I have an interest in tech. I know tech. I can identify that stuff a little better. I've grown an interest in cassettes. Now I know a market there that most people don't know about. Stuff like that. It's about learning different markets and who's buying what, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think there are any, say a listener is interested in pursuing something similar, and maybe they're, I don't know, just they just live in a different state or something. Do you think that there's any bad place to try and source the items, or like do you think you're in a good area? Do you think there could be a bad area? Do you think it matters?
I think this is a definite medium area. I know there are much better areas and much worse areas, but generally speaking, if you're willing to drive, like I drive an hour to the bins since I moved. So if you're willing to make an hour drive from most places in the country, you will have good sources.
Okay.
You'll probably, I've found even just from going to the bins in Delaware and in Harrisburg, PA, Reading, PA, these places, quickly realized, okay, I have to get used to selling different kinds of stuff because that's what comes out here. And once you take that into account, you can do just as well, if not better, pretty much anywhere, I think.
Okay.
You can't go in with the mindset.
It seems malleable. It seems like it can fit in wherever you're at.
As long as you don't go in with the mindset of like, I sell this thing and expect to get it all the time.
Yeah.
That won't work. But if you can change your game up, then yeah, you can find something to sell anywhere.
I guess I want to get into quickly about how, like, where it even came from. Like, how did you end up in this field? Like, why why did this replace it from the get-go? It replaced your day job, right? I mean, you didn't have a day job when you started.
Yeah. I was messing around. I was burning through a small inheritance I had. I was in crypto. I was doing okay with that. That was making me some money, mining and trading.
Oh yeah, that 2017 was a good year for crypto.
And yeah, me, you, LB, our friends, got into mining like Ethereum and stuff like that, doing nice hash and all that.
I stumbled upon one of those videos when we were trying to set it up in the basement. It looked insane, and it didn't work. Too much power draw.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so like I was doing that and I was making some income at least. And life kind of changed all at once. I mean, there's a lot going on, and basically realized like, okay, like I'm running out of money. Crypto's going into a little recession. This isn't going to last.
So that's why at that point you weren't in a day job position at that point, because you had a little bit of a cushion and you were just
messing around,
experimenting a little bit.
Mid-20s, I wasn't being my best self. I'll be honest. I mean, I was enjoying myself, and I'm glad I am who I am now.
You never really seemed like a day job person to me. You always seemed much more self-sufficient. And I think what you're doing now makes a lot of sense.
That's the thing. So I was always looking for something. And I was spending that time while I was realizing all this was happening. I was like watching my money in my bank account deplete and, watching crypto turn around. I was like, well, I'm just thinking like, okay, like what do
how much do you think would you say you had invested in crypto? Like maybe even including what you invested in, like your rig and stuff. Like, do you have any clue? Was it a couple thousand, or was it like?
I wasn't like I was never holding large amounts at that point. I had maybe a few grand of like holding trading funds, which I was like pretty good at trading. I was like,
so you weren't really long-term investing, you were trading.
Yeah. And then I had another few grand in hardware,
right.
Mining hardware. But so yeah, I was, realizing I had to do something, and I was looking on all the like options, like how do you work at home? I'm sure like everyone at some point has been Googled like how do you like make money at home?
Side
like,
hustles,
and
side hustle videos are really popular.
How do you make money online if you're into computers? Like that kind of stuff. That's what I was doing, looking for that stuff, and I was doing like silly things like there's sites like I want to say Upwork,
TaskRabbit. Like that kind of stuff?
No. Like
what's Upwork?
I don't. I can't. I want to say
it's like odd jobs kind of thing.
I can't remember if that's even the one I'm thinking of right now. I'm sorry. But there are sites where you can go on and get like piecemeal internet work to do.
Okay.
Might be transcribing things, that kind of stuff, and like there was some that I found that were like not bad. There's some voice recognition like
that did the job for you.
Like an Amazon like Echo or like a Google. They don't have a name for theirs. An OK Google or like a Siri type of app called Bixby.
Okay.
And Bixby, their team was like trying to improve it, and so they had real people transcribe what people were saying.
Okay.
So that the computer
weird.
would know what that audio meant.
Oh, I see. So you were just like you were a checker, like for the computer.
Yeah. So whenever I would get like a batch of audio files to just go through and just write down what the people were saying in them. Very
That's
creepy
weird.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
super
Give
creepy.
me something strange that somebody said.
Oh, they're terrible. I mean, like, a ton of
obviously nobody's gonna know who the people are.
Yeah. A ton of slurs. A lot of N words.
Really.
People calling their Bixby the N word. And then there was one that was just like super sad, and it was like, how much of this medication name, I forget what it was, do I need to take to die?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea, like, were these, they had to be given to you, like sent to you randomly, right? Like they could have been from all over the country, or were they?
Oh, they were just super random. They're
okay.
all English speaking.
Yeah.
A lot from the South, it seems
That's
like.
so weird, man. It's strange that...
And even weirder was that about half, I would say, were accidental ones. Where
what do you mean?
It picked it up without the person actually calling for it. So
that stuff always freaks me out, man. Having something in your house listening to you. I mean, it's happening now, whether I have an Echo or whatever or not. But
so I was doing things like that, and like that was like one of the better ones. It was I could work that pretty fast. I could get about $15 an hour, and while that while that project was still live, I did that most days. You know, like I did that for a few weeks, and I was like, that was a cool one. But like that work is few and far between, and pretty draining.
Yeah.
So I was always looking for things, and I had started to sell my graphics cards from the GPU mining
I
rigs.
knew I'm sure in the back of my mind I was probably remembering a conversation we had, but you talking so much about crypto kind of leading up to this, I was like, he definitely sold his rig, and that's what got him started.
Absolutely, yeah. I started selling the graphics cards.
That makes a lot of sense.
It was really depressing time because I was like, they were making income still. You know?
It was like taking Hal apart in 2001: A Space Odyssey. He's like trying to sing a song, and you're just like, "Shut up, Hal! I'm turning you off."
Haven't seen it.
Yikes!
I know it's like your favorite movie.
It's one of my favorites.
But it was.
Sorry, there was just an Upwork commercial.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was just an Upwork on the TV. It was that weird. My bad.
That's funny.
It was sad that you were selling your rigs
Because they were still making
money.
income, but I needed cash like today to pay rent tomorrow, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So I was selling them off like piecemeal, and yeah, eventually they were all gone, and I was like, well, what if I looked for more things to sell?
Yep.
Like, so I started casually going to thrift stores. I still didn't have too much overhead in my life. My rent was probably like $400 max or something like that.
This wasn't at Glen, right?
No, I was living in Millville with Manny at the time.
Right. Okay.
And then transitioned into moving with Mike, where my rent got cheaper somehow. So I was lucky. I was lucky to have good friends and a friend in a situation where he needed basically just someone else in the house to help with the dog,
Right, yeah,
more
yeah.
than he needed to rent from me.
That's amazing.
So I did pay him rent, but there was times where I was like, "Hey, man, like, give me a break if I like take care of him these days and stuff."
I'll take care of him better this month.
Yeah, he was working. He was single at the time. He had his son some nights, and he was
And he was doing the band then
doing
too,
the
right?
band
Yeah.
most nights. So like he had very little time to be at home and take care of the dog and stuff like that. So you know, it was a mutually beneficial situation. It gave me a few months to get good at this, and I think I was just trolling that forum, the subreddit flipping. Someone slipped up and mentioned the bins.
Ooh, yikes!
I figured out. I learned what that was. I went there and never looked back. I just started selling, and you know, I probably wasn't making much at all. But like the days when I would go home with like $100 flip, I'd be like, heck yeah,
Yeah,
you know?
man. You're. Whenever we would talk about it, and still, like, I'm always very impressed by your first. There's a lot of things that's impressive about it. Your work ethic. I mean, there's
Tell me
been,
about
especially in the beginning. I remember plenty of times where like we would talk about hanging out or something. Like it might be like a big group of us, and you'd be like, "I got work that day," and it's like in everybody's heads, they're probably like, "Dude, like." You're your own boss.
Yeah.
Like but if you do that all the time, you're not gonna make any money. Like, so you had to work.
Yeah.
You know? So like that was always the dedication on that when nobody else is checking you, I thought was really impressive. The self-sufficiency aspect of it. Like I think you might have been one of my first close friends that didn't have a day job, I think. And the fact that you could survive that way is like, it's inspiring.
It was a confluence of life events where, you know, I needed money badly.
You were up against a wall.
But also my ex had just broken up with me, so I was really, really depressed about that for like a few months. Also probably just depressed because I had no money and no prospects.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to make this work. And I was single. I had no one to report to, and the more I worked, the less I thought about being sad.
Yeah.
So
Distracting.
I literally worked probably like at least 10 hours a day, like 10 to 12 hours a day. There was a period where I didn't take a day off for 3 weeks, like working like over 10 hours a day. Like not including weekends, like literally 0 days off. Like just
How was that?
at the time I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back, I would never do that again.
Yeah.
But you know,
Was that around that time period though?
yeah, in the
After
very beginning. Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I mean that was you distracting yourself, but in a positive, lucrative way.
I was learning the steep learning curve at an accelerated rate, I think, and but you know, it was a good time. I had very little good time to do it. I mean, where I had very little overhead, like bills wise. So all I had to do was make like, after that first $500-600 a month, my bills were paid, and then I could
start
just
building
make some money, get some cash, and then be able to do more flips and stuff. You know, So yeah, I just worked nonstop for a few months at least, and it felt good at the time, and I wouldn't do it again, but I appreciate that guy who did that for me.
Yeah,
Past
absolutely.
Eric.
I think that was just a huge jumping off point, and you just attacked it, and it gave you momentum to work with. The other impressive thing is the profit margins, and you mentioned the pound. Is that what you said they called the stores or something?
I call it the bins. So in other regions, they call it the pound store.
So, I'm sorry. I think it's funny. So are all of the stores by weight, or is it just those specific ones that people refer to that way?
Just those ones. There's Goodwill outlet stores or centers, they call them sometimes. And those are sold. Everything's sold by the pound.
So that's how I've whenever you've told me about a particularly
high margin flip.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was usually because of the weight thing. Mm-hmm. You know, because it. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's because of tech too. Like something more expensive could be smaller.
Exactly. A Fitbit weighs a tenth of an ounce or something. But
yeah,
it's worth
so
like $80.
Yeah. So what did you pay for it?
Like basically nothing. You put it on a pile of other stuff and it doesn't change the value at all. You know?
Yeah, that was always really intriguing to me. Would you say that that's how you source most of your material? Like most of the material you get is by weight?
Yep. I would say so. I've been putting some extra effort in. I got kind of complacent the last year or so. I had a new relationship. We moved, new state and all that. So I was a little happier to take a pay cut and spend more time with the girlfriend, with our new space, with our dog, and all that. Now our life is a little more settled, and I feel like I can put some more extra effort in. So I've been doing more estate sales on weekends. I plan on hitting the yard sales hard this year, this summer. And still constantly checking the government auctions, but I just don't hit them that often that are worth it for me.
Okay. I want to try and keep a little bit of a time thing going. I got one more question in our first kind of background general section.
Hit me with it.
We don't have to focus on this too much. It might not be super relevant, but I was talking with someone. I don't want to mention their name because they may or may not be a guest in the future, and we'll probably talk about it in that episode. Right. But how do you feel about small business owners like yourself attempting or trying to incorporate more people, like expanding, adding employees? Is it something that's stressful? Is it something that you think creates less stress because you're evening out the workload? Like, is it something that I know that you've considered it in the past and you've had some help? Do you still want to do that? Do you still want to try and expand that way? Like, is it something you think about?
Yeah. I've attempted in the past to get some people to help me out. Very part-time stuff.
Listing and stuff, right?
Yeah, doing listings for me, processing doing the back end work. Hasn't worked out for me. Yeah, it just has not worked out for me.
Yeah, that's all you have to say.
It's I think what I was doing probably wasn't the best thing for it. But obviously, I think if you're, it's an odd business. I think most businesses it's
circumstantial.
You hit a certain workload and you say, I need to offload this workload to someone else, and you do that and it works fine. This is very different because most businesses, I used to have people ask me oh, what if you could pay someone to go buy the stuff for you? I was like, are you insane? If they went there and I taught them what was valuable and they bought it, they would just sell it themselves.
Yeah.
The hard part is knowing what to buy and what to look for.
It's also probably part of the. I'm sure you consider this fun to some extent because
absolutely.
That's why you elected to make it your livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you would also I can't picture you doing that. I can't picture you paying somebody to go find the items. I feel like that's part of the fun for you.
Yeah,
you can see the value in something.
That's the fun part for sure. If I was going to offload anything, and I've tried to, is to offload the listing stuff and all that. And to varying degrees of success. Some people just didn't have time for it anymore. Some people just didn't. It just didn't work out.
It's a different animal though for those employees. When it's not your endeavor,
mm-hmm.
I feel like we've talked a little bit about me maybe helping you out, and I try to be forward with you. Like, dude, I'm a lazy person. I feel like I wouldn't be reliable, honestly.
I understand that completely. I think the way you phrased it was like, when I get home from work, I'm a lazy person.
Yeah, no, when I'm at work, I work hard. I think I do. But I think that if it was an endeavor that I was doing personally and maybe trying to do the same thing as you, I would approach it differently. You know, I would be much more invested and more motivated. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We haven't really talked a lot about employees in the podcast, and I'd like to, when it's relevant, talk about it more, because that's another step. I mean, obviously that's a little different than actually getting your small business started, but the guest that I mentioned earlier that may or may not be on an episode in the future I remember him telling me about taking that step, and he was very stressed out about it. You know, and it can be stressful because it makes it's much more serious. You have people depending on you. You have to pay them. Like it's a lot.
When I started doing this, I would help someone else I knew in the flipping game do listing for them. I was doing the listing for someone else.
Really?
Yeah. And honestly, it still kind of felt like at the end of it, when I was like, I'm kind of tired of doing this. I can feel like I can make more money on my own. I kind of felt like I kind of leached more off of that than that person did, where I was like, okay, now I just listed like your last 200 items and I know what sells and what doesn't now, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I can kind of just go find those things on my own.
And that's exactly what you said about maybe sending somebody, all right, this is what you got to grab. This is the stuff that's going to sell. And they're like, okay, Eric. You never see him again.
Yeah. So like, what I've tried to do in the past is like, I tried it with jeans. I tried it with books. Where like, these are things I can get in bulk. They have a modest resale value, where I wouldn't dedicate my time when I got home from work to like do extra listing for that kind of thing. But if someone wanted to, you know, they could make a good hourly rate off of it, and I could make some extra money. And you know, when the people took it like seriously and put a lot of effort into it, I think we both made good money. But it's hard to influence someone to be like, hey, you take this over this project, it's yours now, when they're used to,
I was just going to say,
a boss was telling them to come to work, you know?
Yeah, you have to put on your manager shoes, and that might, you know, at that step, you may or may not be either equipped to deal with it, or you just might not be ready. Like, you're already managing a small business, and then you're adding a whole new element to it, and it's got to be, I don't know, like throwing a wrench in the works. You know what I mean? It's just different.
It's boring work.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of work that's easy to motivate yourself to do.
Yeah. But again, when it's your
people
when it's
who've
your
done this
company
for me and are like yelling at your computer, I get it. I get it. I didn't want to do it either.
Yeah.
I know.
No, and that's that. Yeah. So
no hard feelings to any of you except the one person who stole the stuff. You know who you are.
Ooh, I didn't hear about that. I don't think. Oh man. Okay. I think. Do you want to cover anything else?
Oh, but it's not you. The one who you might be listening who think you are. I'm not worried about that. You just lost that stuff. The other guy took it.
You know who you are. And do you want to? I'm wrapping up the background and general business overview section. Do you want to add anything before we move on? Did I miss anything?
Background, started, did some things, doing things.
I'm definitely going to get to some more fringe things. I'm talking about like the core kind of your business.
Yeah, and if we're talking like overview, I think we got most of it. Oh, you know what? Let's jump into one thing here.
Okay.
And you can stop me. We can get to it later. But
look, I mean, I don't really care about the time constraint, but
how we look?
I wanted to wrap up this at like 20 minutes if we wanted to stay the hour, 30 minutes if we want to do 90 minutes, and we're at 35 right now. But the other sections could be quicker too.
I would just say that. So I've mentioned that. I think I've mentioned eBay plenty here. That's like my main selling platform.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't ask you about that.
I was on Amazon. They banned me. Didn't do anything wrong.
What happened there?
It was literally just like I updated my like card information on file, and that triggered a check on my address, and they were like, "Hey, we need proof of address now." And I was like,
it was different from what it was or something.
No, I've always at the time was and still I'm not on my like lease by name actually. But I've never been on like a rental lease by name or anything like that.
Right.
So all I had was like car insurance. I sent that to them. They didn't take that. So my license obviously too, but that you could say, I guess technically you could say you live anywhere on your license.
I think I saw my parents' house on my license.
I live in Winona, New Jersey on my license.
Perfect.
But yeah, so they it didn't pass their check, and
So it just locked you out of that marketplace.
yep.
That's terrible.
Otherwise, I do some trade-in sites, declutter, sell back your book, that kind of stuff, like where you just trade in.
So those
bulk
are more
stuff.
like specific to the item, right? Like those
Yeah.
things. But the question we asked Patrick, and I feel like it's relevant here too, is do you ever list in multiple spots for the same item, or is it always kind of like categorically, something like that is specific to books or whatever? So you're probably just going to list books there, but
I'll pull a Tom Consul and say, no.
I love that. I love when you do that. No.
No, yeah.
Tom was funny.
I don't think I cross-list ever.
Seems weird. Seems like it'd be messy.
It could get messy, and typically things, you kind of know the marketplace for things eventually.
Do you feel like you're missing out on the Amazon marketplace?
Yes.
What would you have to do to get unbanned? Just provide the same information?
Yeah, I even know guys who have just like fake documents, just like
Just to get it rolling.
just edit it in Photoshop or whatever.
It's really like you're not trying to pull a fast one. It's
No,
just a
yeah.
pain in the ass for you to actually prove whatever they need proved. You're not going to do it.
Yeah, no, it was never a big enough part of my income. So basically, I would sell books on Amazon. It's very easy to scan a book. If it sells well on Amazon, you ship it to them. When it sells, they ship it out. FBA program, and like that's the whole process. They didn't want it. Now I just send it to those trade-in sites that sell back your book. Books Run. There's 100 of them. They do the same. Like basically, they take it. They buy it from you for cash. They'll sell it later on their own. So they, maybe I get 30% of the book's value from these trade-in sites where I used to get 60% if I sold it on Amazon, something like that. But Amazon, you got to deal with storage fees if your stuff doesn't sell, stuff like that. They're always upping their fees and stuff. So
Heck with Amazon.
And it was only ever $300 or $400 a month out of my income anyway. So if I'm getting $200 to $250 instead,
And you just don't have to go through the hassle.
yeah,
And you don't have to give Amazon any money.
yeah, exactly.
Heck with Amazon. All right. All right, cool. You cool with me moving on to Mike's
move it.
Financial Corner?
I like to move it.
What's your credit score? I don't have cash with me today, but if yours is...
You won't need it. No,
okay.
it's 707.
Okay. One of mine...
Also 695.
Okay, yeah. I
If we check my Credit Karma, it's between so it's.
I have a pretty
one of
big
them
gap
says
between mine now too, but one is at $7.99. I'm about to break 8, baby.
Oh, one of our super listeners just texted me.
Really, super listeners?
Shout out to Tony Puglisi.
Oh hell yeah!
He's a big listener.
Thank you for listening, Tony. We appreciate it.
Shout out to you, broski.
It was nice talking with you at Eric's 30th birthday, which I didn't realize was his 30th birthday.
Let me double check my Credit Karma real quick. Ba-da-ba-bum. How we looking? 707, 695. I had it right.
Nice. Yeah. Better luck next time, baby.
I believe I'm up like almost 100 points for the year though. So been working to rebuild.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
I made some mistakes.
Yeah, everybody has, dude. Credit thing's weird. Okay, what do we got here? So are you an LLC?
Nope.
No. So it's just yourself, right?
Yeah, I think like Tony Puglisi, super fan, just created an LLC.
Really?
Yeah, for his eBay sales. But I think probably because he has a day job as well. So it gets confusing, I think, and maybe IRS gets mad at you.
Yeah.
This is my only income, so it's very easy for me to organize.
You don't have to,
report.
it's not going to get mixed up with something else. I got you. That makes sense.
So far, so good.
I wanted to touch on something. Okay. I'm going to jump to this one. Do you have a process for how you deal with your taxes? Like, how, I guess I didn't realize that you can choose how often you pay your taxes. Is that right?
So yeah, most small businesses will either do quarterly or just lump sum at the end of the year.
Right.
I do lump sum at the end of the year. So far, it's, my first couple of years, I don't think I really paid any taxes after deductions.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say third year, I paid minor taxes. We're talking like $500 to $1,000. This year was a little more annoying. It was over $1,000 for sure. That was a bit of a blow.
Yeah. So you said you do end of year lump sum. So
yeah. So I'm considering switching to quarterly now that I kind of have a vague idea of how much it's going to be.
For that lump sum, it sounds like were you like kind of like not prepared? Was it the number, or did you just not really have stuff like set aside for it?
I paid it. It was fine. But it was annoying.
Just a little larger than you
to drop like $1,400 at once. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Do you do your own taxes, or do you have a?
I do
CPA?
my own. I use whatever free one I signed up for. Just I think I want to say it's TurboTax free.
TurboTax is free.
For certain amounts.
Okay.
And certain conditions.
Conditions
apply.
I might be looking for a CPA this year. My uncle usually does ours. He might not be able to do it this year for us. So my parents and my sister, I think, are going to maybe try and do it themselves. And I think they can. I think it'll be pretty simple for them. But I just always have so much like nonsense that I have to bring, and like my stuff is always more time consuming than everybody else's when my uncle's helping us out with it. So I might try and
honestly, like, my stuff's fairly complicated, and it really only takes me maybe hour and a half, 2 hours to do. They have a really good interface. They like basically ask you a bunch of questions, you just answer them, and the longest part of it is printing out or downloading a PDF from Bank of America, a PDF from used to be PayPal, but they're out of the eBay game now, so I don't have to worry about that. And just Control F, search Goodwill, add those numbers up. Control F, search Salvation Army, like adding up everywhere I buy things from, and just getting a whole list of,
how much you spend at those places.
Costs for deductions and stuff like that. Okay. That was like the longest part of it, and that's getting simpler every year. So
yeah, huh? What's your annual income at this point? So maybe we'll talk 2021, I guess, since that year just ended, if that's a fair question.
Is Mike asking, or is the IRS asking? No.
Whatever is going to be more beneficial for a listener, unless you just would rather not say.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the IRS thinks I make like...
Whatever you do, just give us a ballpark. Don't do an exact figure.
No, I want to say the IRS thinks I make like... probably just below the $13,000 a year single person deduction mark. But no, I mean,
but that's not true.
I mean, hey, I put in real deductions and they accept them, so that's on them. No, I think total gross for the year. I'm trying to think. Every year's different, obviously. Mm-hmm. Every year's been growing, generally speaking.
That was going to be my next question too.
But I mentioned earlier, I took what I'd call a pay cut and like a lifestyle bonus of just like spending more time with my girlfriend and at home and stuff last year.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you also share bills with someone that has an income too. Mm-hmm. So you might not have to be as reliable on your income.
I would say last year I probably grossed in sales something like 42,000. Net is usually around 70 to 80% of that on my sales.
Okay.
So we're talking somewhere in the mid 30s, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah. It's not bad.
Something like that. This year I'm aiming higher and I'm keeping up with that pretty well. I think I'll be fine. So I'm aiming for around...
So these numbers, like you said, are kind of like your quote unquote pay cut?
Yeah.
Like, would you say that you made more in 2020?
2020 was a crazy year, man. Pandemic.
Yeah, well, that was going to be one of my other... We can roll all these into each other because one of my other questions was, how did COVID affect your business, if at all?
Yeah, I'll just say this year I'm planning on something around, I'd say, like 54 gross.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's good. That's good growth.
I think so. I think I can hit that pretty smoothly.
So you have goals set for yourself for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What percent? I was going to try and calculate the percentage. I don't feel like doing that right now. But it looks like a nice amount of growth. And you think that's something that you can kind of keep rolling?
Yeah, I'm very confident I can hit at least 50 to 52K gross. I'd like to hit 60 if I hit something good in the summer or something.
Yeah.
But it's that stuff's more ephemeral. Like if I get a crazy yard sale, estate sale find or something like that. But I think just doing what I do already, I can hit 50 to 52 easy.
Weird question that's becoming more and more relevant. Maybe not for your business particularly, but have you? I feel like with you it probably wouldn't matter. Have you experienced any difference in maybe margins due to inflation? A lot. I mean, like for instance, like the car market, and it might be specific to like chips. Like there's less new cars being made, so used car prices are skyrocketing, or at least they were at a moment.
Yeah,
For you, it might not be the same thing.
There are price changes and things. It's often hard to tell why. Sometimes it's easy. I mean, like beginning of COVID, everything changed. What people were buying changed. What they were willing to pay for it changed.
True.
Like a webcam that used to sell for $15 is selling for $75 because everyone's working at home.
Mm-hmm.
P90X set that used to sell for $22 is selling for $38. Like stuff like that was very easy to see the correlation and
Right.
why. Also like things like video games went up like crazy because everyone's at home, I guess,
time
playing
at home,
games.
yeah.
But also like vintage games, people are speculating now, and there's like we're in a bubble. So yeah, it's hard to tell what's causing what, but there's been huge shifts in resale value of common items, I'd say.
I think going forward in future episodes for us when we're organizing these, I think these might be maybe not these questions specifically, but questions basically about things that could affect your like outside elements affecting your business. And in these situations, I would assume that COVID and inflation would have a negative effect on things, but actually it seems like COVID kind of helps you because it for you particularly, because like you said, if you kind of into it or like understand why things are moving in a certain way, like and understand people, it's psychology. You understand people's behavior. What do people do when they're spending more time at home? So like if you can capitalize
psychology
on it,
and logistics.
Yeah, but if you can capitalize on it, it's not a bad catalyst for you at all. If you just if it goes over your head, then you might not even notice a difference, or I guess it just depends on what you're buying mostly.
I mean, the prime example is that first month of like quarantine, like I think like March, April 2020, something like that. 2020. Sometimes I just don't say words all the way. My mom hates that.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
I mumble like a mother.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But the first month of quarantine in 2020, basically I couldn't source goods the way I used to anymore.
That's okay. Yeah.
Everything was closed. That's why I was saying I was diving more into online auctions, just trying to find stuff like that,
Yeah.
But sales were higher than they'd ever been. They were higher than the pre-Christmas months. Usually you have like a crazy November or something like that as a reseller. I was getting that in April. I think I sold like, I don't know, between like $6,000 and $7,500 in sales in the first month of quarantine. And like I was sitting on more cash at once than I'd ever had in my life. And I was just like, since I started at least, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Like people were, because they were buying everything and they were buying it for way more than they used to. So my old stock that I had.
You also have like the stimulus too. Like people have a little extra cash.
Everyone had free money. They were at home. They needed home stuff.
Yeah.
So everything.
A lot of home improvement things too.
All my stock that I had sitting there flew off the shelves. Made a ton of money all at once. But I knew even when that was happening, I was like, I'm still losing 2 months of income here where I can't source.
Right. So it'll catch up unless your buffer was good enough.
I mean, like there was definitely some of that's cut off because prices for things I sold were more than they would have been. Mm-hmm. But still, there was a loss there overall, but it was delayed. It was deferred.
And if you knew it was coming, you could kind of plan for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think questions like this when we're talking about, I hope you don't mind if I'm being like more like open about our process with the podcast because it's just you and me, mm-hmm. But I think going forward with guests, we should think about like these kind of like outside elements like COVID or inflation or we've asked about seasonality and things too. But I think it's a good thing to do our best to try and understand what could affect someone's business if they're trying to start that business, the things that they should be braced for and at least be aware of, you know, because that could cripple you if it's just a bad catalyst. You have no idea it's there or how it's going to affect your business, and you just get blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, like the nightmare scenario for me is that one day I wake up and my eBay account is banned.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like being a YouTuber and that's your whole life, and then you get banned from YouTube.
And then like what do I do? I switch to Mercari and make
What's that?
a competing sales site where I probably make 80% as much on each sale. But at the same time, other things come out of my mouth, and that makes sense. Can't think of what they were though. You know, but I was gonna say, just while we were talking about the oddness of this episode and our personalities here, yeah, I've realized now I have, for the last hour, spent no time thinking about how to guide the show and like how it's going.
How
and
is
stuff.
it? Is it nice?
I don't know. I'm just blank over here. I'm just like answering questions and thinking about my own stuff. And,
I haven't really given it much like outside perspective thought. I think it feels pretty natural.
Yeah, I mean, I've been liking the questions and answering them. So hopefully,
I hope it's interesting. Some of it is boilerplate and stuff that we normally do, but I try to throw in a couple different things. I think that might be it for Mike's Financial Corner. Yeah, I don't need to go into this other one because you kind of talked a little bit about your organization, like keeping folders of all the items that you list. Do you have spreadsheets? I gotta ask that. It's on there. I gotta ask you.
Spreadsheets. I keep one spreadsheet active. It's very inactive. It actually needs an update. But the only spreadsheet I keep is for my 3D printed sales. Because
We'll get to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into the final section, the miscellaneous section, because we'll touch on that. That was in my notes. I don't like this as the first one. We'll revisit that. Yeah, let's. I know we've had these conversations before, but I feel like you probably have a pretty good stockpile of interesting, odd experiences. If you want to talk about something, if anything comes to mind, and you don't have to answer it now, if you want to think about it as we move on, and if something comes to mind.
So like, okay, yeah, no best worst, just like odd things.
Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh, everything's odd.
We
man.
can. I can see that. We can circle back to if it's a tough thing to think of on the spot.
We had our first anti-mask person.
I think I saw a short video.
Tweet, or I posted the video. That's on Twitter. Yeah, before I got banned. Don't bring it up. Yeah, that was interesting recently. Since since the holidays, the winter holidays.
Tensions are rising.
Yeah, I think the Goodwill decided to implement their own policy, which I guess technically isn't legal, but no one complained because they're just
because like you have to wear a mask in the store.
Yeah, ever since the holidays they're like you have to wear a mask. And I think it was a great idea because obviously after holidays like COVID's gonna go through the roof. And like why not? We're all like weird people, like fringy ass people. Like we should at least have masks on. We should probably have been having masks on for the
Someone
last 5
didn't
years.
feel the same.
But every now and then, a non-regular will come in because zero of the regulars have had a problem with this, and it's mostly regulars there all day. But every now and then, a non-regular will come in, and they'll either just be like, "Oh, I don't have one." They'll leave, or they'll like give a little sass, and then they'll leave. One person just completely blew up. This young lady,
Wait, the person blew up on a young lady working there, or the person going nuts was a young lady?
Yeah, she was a young lady.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, she was told she had to wear a mask. She was like, that's not legal. This is America. I thought this was a free country. You all look like sheep. Well, yeah, put your mask on and dig through the trash. And like, yes, I understand we're digging through trash, but also put your mask on. Like, come on, it's a pandemic. This pandemic isn't caused by trash. It's caused by your breath. Like, let's be real. And like regardless of your opinion, like I have a differing opinion on a lot of things. Like when it comes to like authoritarian control and like vaccines and stuff. It's what it is. But like still, do your best to not infect other people and just be like respectful to how they feel in their skin out in the world. Like that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
Make people feel comfortable even if it's not what you specifically want.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel about it as well.
But she blew up. She's like kind of slowly making her way towards the door as she does her rant and yell to everyone in the building. And there's one smart aleck at the bins. Earl's a Vietnam vet. He's earned the right to be an asshole, and he uses it with impunity. And if someone's saying something stupid, he'll speak up and shut up, something like that. He's an old man. He's just using his right to do that, I think.
Yeah, it's fair.
And then she sees him. He's wearing a jacket that says Marines. And she says, "Oh, yeah? Where'd you get that jacket? Out of the bins? You probably bought that jacket here. You're not a Marine. What are you fighting for? What freedom is this?"
Oh, my God.
Crazy. It was nuts. That's not the most fun story, but it's the one I could think of off the top of my head.
I think it's because it was recent, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've seen people like getting like physical altercations over stuff.
Fighting over like items?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel like I almost brought it up at the end of the kind of like core section, but I feel like your business is kind of like weird in that way, where it's like kind of like secretive, like the way that you hesitated to mention the name and like how like it makes total sense to me that a physical altercation could happen. Like I don't think you would ever get involved in something like that, but I could see a person, I mean that could be a huge margin. Like profit item, like they're literally like maybe taking your money, like especially depending on how it happens. Like if it's like, hey, like you were holding this thing and then somebody grabbed it, like you know what I mean? Like it depends on how it happens.
Yeah, I think there's a point anyone would be like, absolutely, like I will fight on this. But and it happens. Like,
the nature of your business.
People are digging through two hands, going one item. What happens? Who gets it?
Yeah,
the person with the stronger will.
Yeah, and
or
people, people are the like the way that they organize it. When you tell me about how they'll roll out bins, and then you have like a couple hours, and you'll have like breaks in your car, like you're chilling in your car, and then they like announce like they're gonna have the other one, or like you just know what time.
Yeah,
so I just picture like Black Friday every like 3 hours or something.
We're all lined up, waiting our chance to all go out there and grab everything.
Yeah,
all at once.
You
reminded me of something there where I wanted to mention. And I have obviously people I spend all day with. They're like coworkers, but they're also like usually my direct competition.
Yeah.
And like not always. There's some guys who just like to go out there for fun or to find specific things. And you can kind of like scratch your back, I'll scratch mine or whatever. But there's other guys out there who are just there to work and like I am and like to make money. And you want to be friendly, but you don't want to tell them everything about what you got.
It is a weird balance. Yeah, you want to be friendly because you're probably going to be spending a lot of time with them. And it is strange because you're not taking it back to your brick and mortar store on Landis Avenue and selling it. You're selling it on the internet where all of the other people are probably doing the same exact thing. So your stuff could literally be listed right next to theirs.
And if finding an eBay store name of someone else there is like a thing, because then you get to see.
Does anyone there know that your name?
Some closer friends, yeah. But then you get to look down everything they've sold, how much they make.
That is wild.
That's
weird.
You get all the data.
Well, that's like the total opposite of working for a big company where everybody needs to keep their income a secret. Like you can't tell anybody how much you make. I think we might have talked a little bit about that on the podcast when we talk about how people are afraid to talk about their money and their income and things like that. Any advice for anyone interested in doing a similar business model?
Yeah, don't decide what you're selling before you buy things. Like it's the most common thing I see on like online is people like
want to go to a niche thing immediately.
Yeah, they're like, I want to. It's usually video games or something like that. But like, yeah, I have like how do I find video games for cheap? And it's like, most of the time you don't. If I only sold video games, I would make no money. You know,
And then they realize, like you mentioned earlier, somebody said that it's an saturated market, and then you're discouraged. You're like, oh, I can't buy and sell shit. Like it's not gonna work. But you were looking in the wrong spot.
Yeah, you don't choose what you sell, you choose what you buy. That's like, I think, an easy way to put it. Like, you go out there, you see what's available, you look up those things and what their value is. If it's worth buying, it has a steady stream of buyers, sell it. You know, buy it, sell it. But otherwise, like, you can't be like me. Like, I love film cameras, I love cassettes, I love video games, I love tech. But if I go in there and I refuse to pick up the vintage mug or the book on gnomes, that's $100 I didn't make this week, you know?
Yeah.
If I refuse to pick up whatever else I had in there, that's another $100 I
Because
didn't make
for
this
some
week.
of those items, you understand what the
appeal is off the bat.
right, and then the other ones, you're like, this isn't appealing to me, but that it's one man's trash is another man's treasure. You don't know what someone would pay for a gnome book.
That's the thing, like, so like the books are picked over by the time I get there. So when I get a book, maybe it didn't have a barcode, maybe it just wasn't selling on Amazon, but I've learned to kind of figure out specific hobby kind of things that you can, oh, that looks interesting. I bet someone will want that. And yeah, you know, I might pick up a few books a day and look them up. And
They're also like
hit a good one.
small experiments too. Like you do that with one item that you think is a little out there, little fringe, and then you list it and you have data on it. I mean, you know, especially if you do it like a handful of times and really see how it performs each time. Then you're just like constantly perfecting your radar. I always picture like you and Patrick like with just like radar walking in there like and finding the good.
It's absolutely like your brain gets trained to see things and not see other things.
And that's why like you can't pay somebody else to do that. Like I know that's fun, and I wish that I had that. It's a skill, honestly.
Yeah, you develop a database in your brain, and it's interesting because someone will say, like during a switch out, we're all going back and forth. Someone will say, "Hey, was there any brass over there, Tony? Was there any toys over there?" And I'll say, "I have no idea." My brain didn't see any, but it could have been full of brass, and I just would have seen zero. I would have seen black, you know, like
it's omitted.
It wouldn't have stayed in memory. So yeah, like and that's something over time you learn. Oh, I've been ignoring this item or this type of item for so long, and it's actually here all the time. But I just never saw it with my selective vision. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I think it's safe to say that you've been successful in your small business endeavor, and I think you're enjoying it. You know, have you thought about pursuing something alongside it, or have you ever thought about replacing it with a different small business?
Absolutely.
Perhaps involving the 3D printer.
Well,
circling back.
I like this less than I did when I started. I still enjoy it more than any other job I have available to me.
Sure, yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I see things every now and then where I'm like, that seems like this has made me more comfortable with the idea of going into a different business, or like another, you know, something self-starting business. We were at the wedding yesterday, you and I, the wet wedding.
I did want to shout out Matthew and Jenna.
Shout out Watt and Jenna
Williams.
Bow, 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 bow.
I always have to think before I say his name because I feel like I say Watt Milliams like in my head all the time. So it's Watt and Jenna Williams.
I guess, yeah.
Congratulations. It was beautiful.
Congratulations.
If either of you are listening.
Beautiful wedding.
Great time.
So they had the photo booth outside.
It was cool.
Very cool. The guy had basically a small old camper that he had just a little photo booth set up in. He had a Canon DSLR behind a cutout thing with a circle in it that was connected to some kind of computer, obviously, and a printer. And it just worked as an automatic photo booth. I think he said that the software was called Darkroom. I asked him a little bit about it.
Darkroom?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, like, that's a completely self-started business,
That's
obviously.
a cool business
It's
idea.
a cool business. I mean, I didn't love that he was standing in the freezing cold for like 6 hours without moving. Seems terrible. But
Why? He could he had to be near it.
I guess
Does he have to operate it, or is it autonomous?
It was autonomous, but when he was just, I think, there just to watch it and to say like, press the button when you go in.
Yeah, it's just instructional.
Yeah.
Ugh. Dude, write up a sign and chill inside.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself. What was it, like 20 degrees?
Yeah, it was rough. But I mean, like, I think, it's a wedding business. Most of them will not be in the winter.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, who knows how much he made there? Probably $550 that night, I'd imagine, something like that. That'd be my guess if I had to guess what they spent on him.
Did you take photos? Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't go in there. You had to pay for it?
No, it's free.
Okay, so you're saying they for
paid
the wedding they paid him to be there and have
Yeah.
the photo booth. I got you. I thought for some reason I thought you'd have to pay like per picture.
And he
But
made
that
it-
makes more sense.
He made it very cute. Any bride,
It was very appealing. It was
Any-
a cool aesthetic.
especially to a bride, like that vintage RV,
It's great.
the vintage looking sign with the lights
I felt like I
around
was
it.
in a dream. It was really cool.
A very cool environment. So like obviously like he knows his branding, but the business itself is extremely simple and like pretty low cost. I mean, he has a nice camera, obviously, but you don't need a super nice camera to take a picture that's 200 by 180.
Yeah.
You could do that with anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So like you could start up cost that for like under $1,000, and make that back in probably like 3 or 4 events.
The bigger thing is the trailer and insurance on the trailer, because he probably drives it around, right? Like that's how he moves it around. So you
Yeah.
probably have to have like a reasonable truck to be able to move it. But it's like starting a food truck, but way more simple and way less of a headache. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting, cool business idea.
Very.
I
cool.
wonder if we could reach out to him.
Yeah, I wanted to. I didn't. I was like, it was the moment where I wish I had a call.
That
on
would
me.
be cool. I'm sure we could easily find out his name.
Yeah. We'll ask. We'll reach out to this guy. But things like that just seem like low startup cost, high, like, just. I don't want to say that's passive income, but it's once a week work that makes you more than a day's worth of money.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. I'm fascinated with the laundromat business. I can't wait to get Richie Menz in here one day.
Yeah, let me make sure he's definitely on this list here. 'Cause I'm excited for that too. Yeah, he's on there. The laundry.
Plug and play businesses like that. We're going to a rage room soon.
What's that?
You go to a room and break stuff.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Right.
Yeah. Where
That
is
seems like-
that in the city?
There's one in Westchester, so we're gonna go to that one.
Nice.
But what a dumb, simple idea to make money.
Yeah.
Oh, I rent
It's
a place.
Probably pretty
Done.
easy to you just get.
You rent a place. Done. That is it.
What? How do you source the stuff that people?
Apparently, you can either you can sell. So I talked to some people who went to one. They offer you packages. You can buy the stuff to break it,
Right.
or you can bring your own stuff to break.
Interesting.
But I mean, I go to the bins, baby. You want me to bring a bunch of glass and TVs back? You can break for sure.
I guess it's just the cleanup and removal is honestly rent and removal, and then you probably have to have some kind of insurance
you wanna
just in case people get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're signing away your life when you go in there. I'm sure, but like,
Yeah.
you'd still want some insurance, and you gotta set it up nice when you get there, paint it up nice, and make it look cool.
Yeah, but you're right though. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be that crazy to set up. Mm-hmm. Do
And
one
then
in Vine.
you can double as like an escape room and stuff. Let someone else handle that. Multiverse, use space. Anyway,
So you're thinking. So it has crossed your mind.
Yes.
Maybe trying something different.
Yeah,
Would you try it in replacement or alongside what you're currently doing? Because you're
Probably
what you have
alongside.
is pretty malleable. Like you just cut your hours back, right?
yeah, I'll never stop doing this entirely, because it's just I enjoy spending the free time going out there looking for stuff, and it's a good time for me.
So there's nothing currently that's specific that you're thinking, man, like shortly I might start pursuing this. There's nothing like right on that cusp or that level yet.
No, I'm still in this for at least a year, I'd say.
Okay.
Full time.
It's still exciting to hear though.
I mean, you mentioned the 3D printing thing, and I'd be happy to bring that up.
Yeah. No, I think that's worth talking about for sure.
Yeah, I got a couple of 3D printers, and
You have a couple.
I have 2 now.
I didn't know that.
There was a great deal at Micro Center selling them for $100, basically like a $250 printer for $100. One per person. Like you have targeted ad and stuff.
What's this place where you can buy them?
Micro Center. They're a computer store akin to like a Fry's electronics if you're on the West Coast or something like that. Think of like a if a Radio Shack was the size of a Best Buy.
Okay.
Like we're talking like components and stuff you can buy there. It's not just like pre-built systems. It's like components. You can build your own stuff. You can buy Raspberry Pi stuff. You can buy like controllers for lights and all that stuff. Like like DIY tinkering kind of like haven.
So do you plan on trying to monetize anything with the 3D printer kind of at the center of it?
Yes, I have like a few designs I've made. I'm into the cassette world, so I made these little cassette stands.
I coupled it.
Oh yeah, you have. I gave you one or two.
Yeah, I'll
one
put
over
it
there.
on the camera. Oh wait, no, grab me that one. I'll promote my album too.
These are actually older prototypes I've revised.
Okay,
it.
you've revised
But it's
it.
the same basic form.
So Eric, it was actually an awesome gift. Eric made a cassette up of one of the EPs that I made, and he put it on a 3D printed stand that he designed, and it just stands up. Sorry, you can't really see it, but yeah, I have it on my dresser on the side there. I have a couple of them. I have a Clockwork Orange over there too. But yeah, it's so cool. The 3D printer thing always fascinated me. I can't believe that they're even $250, even if you pay that full price, is like kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, you could just make your own things like at home. I do it all the time.
That's really like, I consider myself a creative person, but like when I think about trying to do something like that, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I have no idea where to start. I feel like I wouldn't be able to come up with something like, I don't know. I feel like it's really a specific kind of thing.
I mean, and you don't have to be a designer. People out there are designing things all day for you to print with the files,
Right.
You have to be able to like tinker a little bit, just like being willing to like adjust things in your printer to get it right. It's not a science. I mean, it's a science, but it's not like a solved science, where it's like, we know how to make a perfect printer that always works all the time.
Yeah.
It's a little wonky. But so I made like 3 designs. I made the cassette stands, just sold one the other day. I got a 10-pack of those the other day. Happy about that.
How much do you sell them for?
I lowered the price on them, and like, so it's 10 for 20 now plus shipping. Usually almost everything I sell is like free shipping, but I wanted to like make sure I know my margins on these specifically.
I was gonna say, so I mean, it sounds like you're probably making money on them.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I'm making 10 of those, probably runs like me like $250 materials or something like that.
For 20 of them or per?
For 10 of them, so
Or
they're about 25 cents a piece.
I got you. Okay.
So yeah, it's out $250 materials, $2.20 in eBay fees, and so that leaves me with about $15 profit. So make about $1.50 a piece on those.
Nice.
But it's extremely simple print. It's just that I'm the only one who has them because I made them.
Yeah.
But I'm looking more into like replacement parts for things.
I remember you
I have
mentioning
a
that.
replacement battery cap for a vintage keytar was like my first idea. An 80s keytar, the Yamaha SHS-10R. I have the battery covers are always missing.
And this is because you had one and you were missing the cover.
I've sold a couple of those over the years. They sell for like between $150 $250, and they're always missing the battery cover. So
Okay.
I made one. I actually bought one. I bought the whole thing, the keytar with the battery cover, so I could like get the perfect model. I'll sell it eventually, but I wanted to have it around so I can make sure the model was right.
Can you? You can't match the color, right?
It's black.
Okay, so it's pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front of the keytar is red, but the back where the battery cover is black.
Mm-hmm.
So I've sold a couple of those for $30 a piece.
Wow.
I think I've sold 3 or 4 now.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Right? I figure if someone's paying $200 for a keytar from 40 years ago, they're willing
They'll
to spend
spend it just
$30 to complete it,
for sure. Well, I don't know if you've ever used a remote without the back on it, but it is really annoying.
Oh, yeah.
So I can imagine. I mean, maybe the guitar is not that bad, but
So I've been trying to think of more ideas like that. Replacement parts that aren't fad items. Like most people who get like 3D printed businesses started and starting selling things, they're selling new things every day, and their job is really just updating the listings all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's whatever's hot that week. And I could probably do that and make more money right now. But if I can make these items and they'll sell at this rate, one a month or something for the next 10 years.
But that's interesting because you can make it according to your sales.
On
So like
demand,
you make
yeah.
one, you list it, people can see what the item looks like, and they say, oh, I need that. You get the order, then you print it.
Exactly.
That's cool.
On demand printing, yeah, for sure.
That's like the big just in time, or yeah, is that what it's called? The just in time kind of mentality for like cars and things. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah,
I forget exactly what the
Mhm.
word. It's a phrase.
I
Like
do know
similar
what
to
you
that.
meant. Yeah, that was Toyota's problem.
Well, it caused a big problem with the supply chain issues because everything is supposed to be just in time.
I watched that
And,
video.
yeah. So, so that's a possibility too, and it seems like maybe that's something you're leaning towards.
Yeah, that's a long-term play I'm building now. It'll just be a slow stream of income for a long time, maybe forever.
And it's just again, it's another thing that seems fun. Like that's the beauty of everything that
I get to turn my hobbies into little micro
and
businesses.
that's really at the heart of it. I think that's what these small business or even like a side hustle, whatever it is, you have to have interest in it. You have to be passionate about it because first of all, you're just going to know more about it, and you're not going to hate it.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of
that came from down
nah,
here.
dude, I've been burping like crazy.
You ever burp and it doesn't come from your mouth? You're like, oh, I'll burp over here so
Yeah,
no one
it's-
hears it. And
it's
then
in your
your
chest.
chest just vibrates
Yeah,
instead.
that happens to me all the time. Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason people. That's the big reason why people quit their day job is because it's literally for money and you just hate it.
Yeah, if there's anything I want to switch focus more to is getting back into making more designs, thinking of more ideas. But how do you think of more ideas? It's not like you can just like, all right, time to work. Think of an idea. Shoes that are also
Jetpacks.
Jetpacks, yes. Okay. Next, coasters that
Are full of liquid.
change color based on the temperature of your drink. Okay, two. Like these are things. But
Keep
like,
going.
I'm getting somewhere. Podcasts that are good to listen to. Oh,
Oh,
snap.
good segue because I have a podcast section here, baby.
Oh, hit me.
Do you ever think about trying to monetize the podcast?
This one?
Yes. Is that a goal of yours? Have you thought about it?
It's tough. I think if this podcast, we've talked a little bit, and I'd like to like try to push this podcast more once we have like maybe 10 episodes or something out, because I think our content is really evergreen, and you don't need to listen to it the week it comes out. It's just as relevant 2 years from now as it is now, kind of thing. So I think it has value in that sense to whoever does want to listen to it. It'll always be good to listen to. However, to get this podcast to the point where we make any money off of bothering to put ads in and stuff like that, I think we've already at that point we'd be starting to switch our main focus from our jobs to like 80% our jobs, 20% this podcast kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole different world we'd be living at that point. I don't know. I'd love to. I just don't see it being worth it to us or the listeners at any point soon. You know?
Well, I think I'm talking about like revenue from YouTube, from just like plays and or views, and that's something that we literally cannot do until we hit certain benchmarks. So it's like, you know, obviously we're just going to do the podcast and make sure that we do it the best we can, and make sure that anyone that we think would find it interesting, we place it in front of them. So like, until we hit those benchmarks, we can't really do that specific thing anyway. So it's like if we get there, okay, then we can really seriously have this conversation. I just wondered if it ever crossed your mind.
Yeah, it's crossed my mind. I just I don't know. It seems like it's not a hard content to market necessarily. It's pretty easy to market. It's like, hey, are you interested in small business stuff? Listen to this. Or do you like us too as people? Listen to this.
There was a comment on the last one that you had a very soothing voice, and that
I've
is
been told I have
true.
a very soothing voice.
You do.
This is Eric's ASMR channel now. No, I mean
probably make some money doing that, dude. Write that on your ID.
ASMR channel. Got it. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to make money off of this, but I don't want to do that.
Sacrificing anything else?
Yes, thank you.
Fair. So this might sound like the same question, and maybe it is, but do you have goals or like specific plans for the podcast, or are you just letting it ride?
I want to keep doing it. I want to, man, if we get like 2 episodes a month for the next 3 years, that is a store of content where I'd be willing to be like, you know, put my name and like voice behind this, be like, I like what I did here. You should buy this.
Mm-hmm.
Here's super cuts of what 10 super successful people have to say about their business. Here's super cuts about 10 people who say never do this in the business. Like, make great content from this raw content
like
we're making.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not necessarily. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, in like an old fashioned world, but like probably in this world it'd be like, these are just like small videos that we make that like catch people or something. But like,
are you talking about getting this content?
I think we're making. I have a call from my girlfriend.
Okay. Do you want to take a break real quick?
No, we can wrap up. I'll call her back in a minute.
I still have some stuff. Well, actually, no. We're getting close.
I think we're making raw content now, and we'll be able to turn our collection of content into better content later.
So you're saying use this as the derivative and then make new content based on what we learn? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying literally pull and arrange?
Pulling and arranging content from these raw hours of
I think it could be
form.
interesting to also create new, and it doesn't even have to be the same medium. Like we could like write up. I don't know. Maybe not. There's something there though.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I'm going to skip this one. It's not really that relevant, but this one I thought this was kind of interesting. Do you think we will ever have someone on the podcast who started a business after listening?
Ooh.
What do you think? Isn't that an exciting thought?
That is an exciting thought.
Do you think that day would happen? It's possible.
Yeah, I think that day will happen. I do.
What do you think it's going to be like?
I don't know. Reminds me of like a couple weeks ago, I went to the open mic that Marcos is putting on with Drew.
Yep.
Future guests, Marcos and Drew.
Yeah, I have a little plug section, and I was gonna plug. We can roll that together.
But when I went up to play for the first time, Marcos is like, "Yeah, Eric was the first person to bring me out to an open mic ever, like 3 years ago." And I was just like, "Yeah, well, that's right, I did. I made him come out to the open mic, and now he's running an open mic. Like, look at that."
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. I had a similar conversation with him. I was telling him how excited I was about, you know, more local music happening, and especially like so close to my house, and it's just like this new thing. I'm really excited that they're planning on doing it monthly now. That was one of my plugs.
Mm-hmm.
Van Jam Entertainment specifically.
They're doing a great job.
They are, man, and I tried to stress that to him, and he was just like, dude, this is because of like you guys like talking about probably like just our friend group and like and like our mutuals, but he was just like, you know, we all motivate and inspire each other, I think, and then that was really nice. But yeah, specifically the violin open mics, I can't speak for the Turnersville ones because I haven't been there. I think you have. Mm-hmm. They seem really cool too.
So great.
The people that come out to these things are fantastic. They're very talented. They're
so
very
much
supportive. Just pleasant people. We've got the open mics at Casey Ray's, hosted by Van Jam Entertainment, on the second Thursday of every month. The next one is February 10th. I don't know when this episode will be released, so that could be cool. That's good. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see you there. Do you have any other thoughts on somebody coming on the podcast after listening? Or...
Nope.
Okay. Do you have any plugs that you'd like to include in the episode?
Listen to the Sales Report podcast. It means a lot.
This episode is brought to you by the Sales Report podcast.
I will say, if you are at this point of the video, please comment.
Yeah.
I really want to know who's actually listening. It means a lot when someone comments to us because we are like so fresh into this, and we're
in the dark.
We get so little interaction, and like I have the site analytics that host our files for audio. We have YouTube view counts, but that's like all we have to go on. We don't know how much of that is real. We'd love to have some comments. Just say, I listened. That's all you got to say. You don't have to say anything about it.
That would be greatly appreciated. But also on YouTube specifically, if you genuinely enjoy it, please subscribe, because that might, who knows, man, like maybe we end up at that benchmark where we have 1,000 subscribers, and we have the things we need to monetize it, and then maybe, like you said, maybe we can actually turn our focus to this and really like do it often and put more effort into it.
I'd love that life.
So if that sounds like something that is worthwhile to you, and you want to see this grow that way, definitely subscribe and like, and the comment thing would really help too, just to give us some kind of feedback. Even if there's things you don't like about it, I would like to hear what you don't like about it. Any other shout outs or plugins from you, Eric?
Wrap it up, B.
Okay, I got to shout out Difficult Ass Questions, the new single from Marty coming out with Mouse, myself, and Janessa, releasing on January 31st on all streaming platforms. And I'm going to shamelessly plug my own YouTube channel. It's got live music sessions on there, MTG gameplay, and some finance content too. So I think my producer is pointing at me and telling me that we got to wrap it up. So
no, I was just going to say, this is the first episode we haven't played the game because there's not enough players.
I know. I was thinking about that too. I wanted to try and come up with something cool. I didn't have time to. I finished this.
Well, we could play the game ourselves, I guess.
Oh, how does that work?
I don't know. We could write down split or steal.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm not opposed.
Let's do it right now.
All right.
I got paper here.
Oh, jeez.
So, who's providing the money though? I guess we both are. $10 each will provide. And you know the rules at this point, right?
Yeah, and hopefully our listeners do too. If this is really confusing, that just means that you need to watch the other episodes. I'm not going to explain it. You can if you want.
I'm good.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to steal from you.
Yes?
I think. I don't know.
Do you trust me?
No.
See, you have to consider I'm no longer the guy trying to get you to steal.
You want me to split it with you?
Ideally, yeah. I want you to split it with me, no matter what I won, right? And no matter what you won, you want me to split it with you. Now, you've already given it up. You want to steal. So do I spite?
I didn't write anything on the paper.
I'm just saying, if that's your attitude, then I have to spite steal you. I have to spite steal you. I can't let you just steal it. And the good thing is, I think these words are both the same length.
It's on the opposite side of your important notes whenever you're ready to look at it.
All right. Hey!
No!
I steal Mike's
son
split.
Of a bitch! Oh my god!
You owe me $10, boy.
All right, that's fair.
All right.
You can close it. You can wrap it. You're good at it.
All right, guys. It's been great. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. I hope this is interesting to you. It's weird to say 'cause it's my own content about me. But thank you, Mike, for hosting. You did a great job.
Thank you. It was fun. It was. I like the dynamic change.
It's going to be the most interesting one for me to listen back to, and that's the most narcissistic thing I've ever said.
I don't blame you at
I just mean because I've been like not present for it, you know?
Yeah.
So this will be interesting.
You'll get a little bit more of an outside experience when you listen back. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you so much. We love you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye.